Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by Robert DeFelice tonight to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Colin. Colin, it's Friday, man. It's me, it's you. Roman Reigns is on TV. Maybe that's the last time he'll be on TV ever. Who knows with these crazy reports. But I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Glad it's Friday. You just alluded to it. We'll talk about the Roman Reigns stuff. Definitely lots of interesting rumors and speculation, and then there's a lot going on there. I mean, to the point that we saw Roman on TV tonight, and I was like, it felt like a rarity. I was like, especially just with the context that he might not be around as much going forward. It's like, man, it's crazy. You know, this guy's been carrying the company for so long now. And now it feels like, well, I mean, we've seen him, obviously. We just saw him WrestleMania Backlash, but like the kind of knowledge that things might be changes in the air. But overall, that was a pretty fun episode of SmackDown, all things considered. So we could talk all about that. I don't remember how the show's. Oh, of course, RK Bro came out to start the show, the Raw Tag Team Champions. So I guess we kind of bookend it because that played out at the end of the show. RK Bro comes to the ring, having lost on Sunday, having lost the six-man tag team match that was originally going to be the tag team title unification match. And they said, well, you know, we lost, as I said on Monday, they lost that battle, but they have not lost the war. They still want the unification match. So they came to SmackDown to basically force the issue, to confront Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. And then Sami Zayn comes out wearing a Bloodline shirt, trying to handle business on behalf of the Bloodline. Backfired on him tremendously. But shout out to Sami Zayn, the Bloodline shirt. I like what he's doing. I like that kind of like unofficial allegiance. Like he's trying to be kind of this like, you know, kind of like a snitch kind of thing, like trying to play himself into a position of power. I think it's pretty fun. But that wound up giving us a match between Riddle and Sami Zayn with the initial stipulation that if Riddle won, RK Bro would get the title match, and then Adam Pearce didn't confirm that, but he at least booked the match. Was a very good match. Riddle and Sami Zayn agreed. Riddle wins. The Bloodline's, you know, upset backstage. Roman's like, where did he smash these guys? What are they doing here? And then he says, we're going to give him the answer for the unification title challenge at the end of the show. Lo and behold, Robert, we're getting the unification match next week on SmackDown. RK Bro and the Usos. We're finally going to get it.
Well, what happened to main events on pay-per-views? Colin, again, look, I know I go through this every podcast I do. People say it's a different structure now, and I get it. But like, we need matches for pay-per-views, guys. Roman Reigns isn't advertised for Hell in a Cell. I thought maybe you stretch out this tag title deal, but okay, you get it next week. Doesn't matter. We really need to get the unified titles on the Bloodline and just kind of move on. Unless, of course, next week ends in a schmaz, and then they go, and we're gonna put it inside Hell in a Cell because that's a pay-per-view main event.
Yeah, you know, I could see that, and you know, you say that, and I'm like, in a way, I never hope to see those kind of things happen, but it does feel like something that kind of should be on a pay-per-view. So it wouldn't be like ideal, but I'd be happier if it was like a pay-per-view main event, especially on a show where you don't have Roman, who holds both world titles. Like I don't know what else would really be.
We keep saying both world titles. Have we not just established that it's one title that is unified?
Technically, he still carries both the belts. So I look at it as still two titles, and he hasn't defended either one yet. So we don't really know how they're going to do that. So in my mind, at least, they are still definitely two separate world titles, at least for now. But aside from Roman, we can look forward to the unification match. You see potentially, if not the Usos winning, you don't. I guess I'll ask like long term or relatively long term. Do you assume the Usos are going to win when all is said and done? Like they're the ones that are going to get the titles?
I imagine it just makes it look better. And still, Orton's having the best run of his career, or whatever they say. He's having the most fun, but he needs to feud with Matt Riddle at some point because Orton is a singles guy, and so is Riddle.
Follow-up question: if the Usos win, do you think that's going to like launch their singles feud for like Money in the Bank or SummerSlam?
I think it will be the cracks in the foundation. I actually think part of the cracks in the foundation is Riddle uses the RKO more than anything.
Yeah.
Which I think Orton at some point is just going to be like, dude, you're stealing my spot. That's my thing. You're doing it in more cool positions than I would. I don't like that. And then he'll lose this. and then maybe one will cost the other Money in the Bank, and then we get to, okay, SummerSlam, they can fight each other.
Makes sense to me. I mean, I think it's, if not overdue at this point. I mean, we were all expecting this like back in January, so they've at least gotten a lot more life out of it.
You expected this at like, SummerSlam of last year. It
Yeah.
felt like they would probably fight each other.
And it keeps going on, and they've had a good run. And this might be, as you said, kind of we might be looking at the road toward the cracks in the foundation. From there, I would imagine that to me feels like a SummerSlam match. So I think that'd be good, and I think it'd be good to have all the titles on the Usos here. DJ says he thinks the Usos is going to win, and he kind of agrees, saying bye bye RK Bro. Feels like a pretty darn likely outcome here. But Nasha says she doesn't see the unified titles lasting, and I don't know if she means the tag titles or the world titles. I either one or maybe both. Maybe at some point we'll go back to separate titles, and all this is meaningless. But for now, the name of the game is seemingly unifying the titles, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. Hopefully, in the Usos, Nesha says both titles. Yeah. I mean, we see this all the time. They like go a certain way, and then they'll go the complete opposite way, and then a couple years later. So it's fine. We try to stay in the present, but can't disagree that this will probably just reverse itself at some point soon. Or if not soon, it's at some point. But Nesha also agrees, next week will probably be some kind of schmaz finish or whatever, and then we'll get it delayed. And again, I think that's probably the right call. Sidebar, yeah, Roman Reigns not advertised for Hell in a Cell.
No.
So, that's something. And that kind of coincides with the report that he's has a new deal. They'll see him working less house shows. And there were a series of reports where that he'd be missing like 10 weeks entirely. I think it was like sometime in June all the way through Labor Day, and he was only advertised for, I think, Money in the Bank and SummerSlam, I believe. And then there's another report that he has a new deal. There'd be less house shows, but there does seem to be at least some kind of speculation or at least concern that he might be around less. And now we see even Hell in a Cell.
I mean, the concern is there's nobody. If you take away Roman, who are we watching the show for?
Right.
And it's people will say, well, there's Butch and there's this one and that one. It's like there's no main eventers.
No.
McIntyre isn't even a main eventer. He's been at SummerSlam, he fought Mahal for like 2 minutes, and then at WrestleMania he fought Happy Corbin. So there's no real main event guys.
No. That's the concern. And like when the first reports started coming out about Roman, like I don't know if I was sad, but I guess I was, concerned and like thinking, wow, like that might, if the first one saying that he'd be like gone essentially like 10 weeks, I was like, wow, that's going to be a pretty dark time, because like, especially for SmackDown. I mean, and then Roman has both world titles. So that would mean that the world title would be missing essentially, unless someone beats him before that, which I don't necessarily see happening. But it's weird, man. It's weird that he's just gone.
The thing is that he feels like he just finally became the guy.
Yeah.
And, someone's going to make the argument, well, he's been there for 10 years and he was over pushed for so long. But it's like, come on. He just finally got to the spot where he is the guy. Brock can't beat him. Cena can't beat him. This one, that one can't beat him. But now he's going. We don't really know if he's going to Hollywood or if he's just taking time off. But he's got the belt, and he makes the everyday shows feel important.
Yeah.
We can't afford, as fans, you can't afford to have it feel like there's another guy gone, because who's going to pick up the baton? Cody? Like, Cody just had a daughter. Cody's doing this weird reverse thing where he's taking on more responsibilities at work instead of taking the easy schedule, And I just think that that's crazy.
And you have to wonder, I mean, in a way, when you say that, I have to wonder, like, how long that's going to last. Sure, he comes back. He wants to have this great comeback tour, doing the live shows. He's on TV. I think he's been on TV every week so far. I would imagine, this is speculation on my part, but just kind of logically speaking, I would imagine at some point, whatever it might be, he might say, okay, I don't want to do every week, every house show or whatever. And then in that case, yeah, if I've seen this argument a lot, and I feel it myself. I mean, if we're in a world where Roman might be around less, or you need someone to kind of step up, Cody makes sense, but then, that feels like it's not really a long-term play, right? Cody, you got what?
I think Cody could be a long-term play, but it's still, first of all, only becomes, okay, he's the one guy you've got.
Yeah.
You need to get away from that because, you got to look back to the Attitude Era. You had Rock, Austin, Taker, to the point where Taker and Austin went down and you still had Rock and Foley and Hunter and Jericho and Angle and this one and that one. You need to get it back to being a stacked roster.
And it's not about the talent, right? They like on both shows, it's like you've got, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. It's about the booking. So you have talented people, but they're not booked very well.
The bell-to-bell wrestling has never been better, as proven by the fact that Backlash was a decent show. It didn't mean anything. These shows need to mean something again.
Yeah. And, it was a perfectly fine show. Much better than I was expecting. But again, the tag title match could have been something that would have meaning, stakes, that would have made it feel important. And then that didn't happen. Now, at least for now, that will be happening next week, and we'll see what happens there. But I agree. Again, the concern about Roman being, again, I don't think he's leaving, like he's gonna be gone for 10 weeks, but like at least being around less, not being Hell in a Cell, and then however it continues to play out from there. It feels like they've kind of put all their eggs in the one basket, and now they don't really have anybody behind him. And again, not say they don't have anybody. They have guys like Drew McIntyre. Who, Drew's a big star, but like he's not Roman Reigns. He's not at that level. At this point, nobody really is. Cody's like the only kind of close example. And then the funny thing about that is like Cody became a big star in AEW, and he quickly came in, and he's like, it's this weird thing. We've talked about that before, but it's very weird. And again, we've done this show for a while now, and like I'm always talking about how I'm a big fan of Roman Reigns, and like the thought of him not being around as much. It's not sad because he deserves to like lighten the load where he's been carrying the company, but it is a little disappointing, a little bittersweet, I guess. But I mean, Benjamin points out Randy can be the guy. I mean, yeah, but again, like we're talking about these kind of like Randy, especially like a short-term fix, a band-aid fix. And again, they don't have that. They don't have the next Roman right now. I'll tell you that much. I mean, that's like kind of ready-made.
Roman is barely the next Roman. Roman is just getting there. He spent so long, trying to be the guy, and they think that just because they smashed him in that spot, that means he was there for all that time. No, he just finally got there. I think that the news is sad, quite frankly, because at the end of the day, and yes, I welcome anyone who doesn't want to throw their back at the mat for 20 minutes a night every day of the week. But still, it continues to make WWE look like a stepping stone instead of being the place where you want to be. And I think that that's an issue.
Big time. Especially with Roman. Again, the feeling is that he might be venturing into Hollywood at some point, just like The Rock, just like John Cena. And that's the thing that happens nowadays. And like, it speaks to WWE like having these big stars, but then they don't want to necessarily stay. They know like they move on, and as you said, it's that stepping stone. I don't know what to do about that. I mean, I wonder if that's just kind of inevitable because these superstars reach a certain level of popularity, and it's natural to transition. And then especially as you get older, that like John Cena, he didn't really make the jump until he was already late 30s. Like he was already a full-time guy for quite a while. So
right, like Randy's still there. John was there on top for 10 years. He was there for a good 13 to 15, but he was on top for a good 10 before going, okay, I'll fully step away now.
Yeah.
And let someone else have it.
Yeah. Friend of the show, Iridium points out that Randy defended his bestie, John Cena, night. He told Roman that John Cena was 10 times the superstar he'll ever be. So a little fun shot there. But obviously those guys were bitter rivals for a number of years, but now they respect each other. So I think that's pretty cool. But DJ with an off the wall ideas. We see Sami Zayn being kind of the ass kisser to the Bloodline, wondering if they might turn him face. And I would say I could see him challenging the title. DJ says could we see him winning the title. I love Sami Zayn. I don't see that happening. Like I could see him getting a match because he pisses Roman off, or he decides to rebel against the Bloodline. Like maybe, but I don't think he's going to be the guy that beats Roman.
Yeah, I don't think that Sami Zayn will have a world title like that anytime soon. NXT Sami Zayn could have had a great babyface match.
Yeah,
with Roman, but I don't even know if he would have won.
It's a fair point. And yeah, exactly. I love Sammy, but he's not a world champion. Probably in WWE's eyes. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm not saying that he's not qualified for it. I'm saying based on what we've seen so far, and no matter how talented he is, and he's like consistently one of the most entertaining guys on the show. I don't know if they view him at that level, especially again, as we talked about for a number of weeks now. Like whoever does beat Roman has to be kind of, I would say, the next guy. I don't really know if that's Sami Zayn at this point. But as we were talking about last week, they kind of continued to at least drop these little breadcrumbs of Shinsuke Nakamura. We had a very brief segment with him. He made fun of Sami losing to Riddle earlier in the show. I just said that Sami's the ass of the table. So, yeah, they're keeping that kind of going. I imagine we'll get that at some point, somewhat soon. But very similarly, Shinsuke's great. Don't think he's the guy that's going to beat Roman. So
Shinsuke and Roman can have a great match. I think again, at one point, Shinsuke could have been the guy, but he's long since moved down the card and down in terms of booking in WWE.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because he's great, but I'm sure it'll be a very good match whenever it happens. But definitely, as a matter of perception, they've definitely, I would say, through the fault of the booking, he's definitely fallen down ranks a little bit. But we've talked a lot about the world title picture, and we'll see how it continues to unfold. We'll see what happens with the tag unification. But we actually had a title match tonight. We had Ronda Rousey, the new SmackDown Women's Champion, coming to the show, and she was celebrating her win over Charlotte Flair. Charlotte reportedly taking some time off. Storyline, she hurt her arm in the I Quit match on Sunday, and of course in real life she's getting married, so she's taking some time off. So Ronda celebrating her victory. Nothing remarkable. She says she wants to be a fighting champion, so she's issuing an open challenge for the title. And who comes out but Smiley Raquel Rodriguez, formerly known as Raquel Gonzalez, comes to the ring smiling the entire way down. And she says she wants a shot at the title. And she says, I want to make history tonight. And they have a match. I thought the match was good. I thought it made Raquel look great, maybe even too good. This was Raquel's second match on SmackDown proper. Okay, she had one match.
That can't be true. At least three. At least three matches.
I'll look it up. But if that is true, then I think it is. I don't remember really seeing it. She has been in some segments, but not matches.
That's crazy, man.
To that, I say, like, when I was watching this match, I thought of one match on SmackDown. Man. She beat Kat Cardoza, and that was a couple weeks ago now. So it's not even like this was last week. Of course, and as Nesha points out, she is a former NXT and NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, so she has that background. She has that the track record. But if you kind of, and as they often do, if you ignore that, if you ignore their history in NXT, this is a newcomer, and we haven't really seen much of what they can do yet. When I was watching this match, I thought of Dante Martin in AEW. When he got a world title match a couple weeks ago, they built him up for a while. He was in a tag team, but he got plenty of chances to shine as a singles guy. He finally got a title match, and he lost. But at least, they built him up. And no, you didn't think he was going to win, but at least it felt like he had earned a little bit more. Raquel, she's had one match against a local talent on SmackDown.
Well, I mean, in this case, I guess it's okay because you're supposed to know that she's former NXT champion and all that. It seems so weird because this could be a Mania match.
Yeah.
And they kind of threw it on SmackDown, which is good. You need to give more reasons, more incentive to watch the show. But I kind of feel like Smiley Raquel isn't doing it for me.
No, I saw some people tweeting that this is actually what she's like in real life. And if that's true, cool. But I thought Raquel in NXT was it was a really great character. It was believable, and she was a badass, and I liked it. And I think it worked for her. And now she comes up to the main roster, and I think she literally said she was told to smile more. And I think she's taken it a little too extremely because now she's just smiling all the time to the point it's a little creepy. And now I'm maybe just find a bit of a middle ground. But I thought it was a good match. I thought Ronda made her look great. I thought she had a lot of offense. So yeah, the point was that we all know that she was in NXT. We all know of that background she has, of course. And even maybe outside of that, for anyone that doesn't know that, that sees this newcomer, they could say, "Wow, she pretty much dominated stretches of the match. She really was in control." And the Rousey one was essentially a roll up, so it's not like she got pinned or submitted. So fairly strong showing. So not much.
But I'm so over roll up finishes in WWE.
There were two alone tonight. They do it all the time, so that's definitely a fair thing. I guess in this case it was warranted because I wouldn't have wanted them to have Raquel tap out on literally her second match on the main roster. So can't really complain with that necessarily. But as a general pattern, yeah, they do it all the time. Eddie agrees it was a great showing for Isaiah Walker, saying they're building her up to turn heel. Maybe she'll lose her smile
Maybe at
eventually.
some point. Yeah, but that's so silly.
But
it's like she's a great powerhouse, but hopefully they can turn her into the main eventer that we already know she can be.
Yeah. I thought she was great in NXT. Her call up was long overdue, so I'm happy she's on SmackDown now. Just not loving the way it's been handled so far, mainly in terms of the gimmick at least. But then yeah, Nesha agrees she does not need to smile. It's not really working. And again, hopefully they'll kind of find a middle ground between the two. But fun after the match segment. So they shook hands, and we see backstage Shotzi is very upset with Adam Pearce. She says, "Oh, Raquel pushed me out of the way when I was running to the ring to accept the challenge." And then Aaliyah comes up and says, "Oh, you locked me in the locker room so I could accept the challenge." And I feel like we haven't really seen that before. People actually like fighting to accept this.
A little bit of logic.
I like it, Robert. I like when things make sense. It makes me happy.
God bless. Logic is good.
People actually like wanting something and like doing things to make it happen. And it makes sense. It's good. I like it. But coming out of this match, Eddie says Raquel is the perfect fit for Money in the Bank ladder match. I feel like that might be a little soon. It's a little soon.
She doesn't need the briefcase. People who need the briefcase are like Sami Zayn would do great with the briefcase, right?
Yeah.
Because he's a chicken shit and he can just cash in whenever he feels ready. But Raquel can just challenge you to your face.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to you. What do you think about the commercials that are straight up like, and the winner of Money in the Bank will get a chance to headline WrestleMania?
Oh, yeah. I thought that was very weird. Admittedly, I was watching WrestleMania Backlash, and I think I have the Peacock version with ads, so I didn't see that on the show, but I heard about it.
Colin,
I'm cheap, Robert. I'm very cheap. I'm notoriously cheap. I'm not ashamed. But then I heard about it, and then the next night on Raw, it aired again without that line. So now I'm like, was that a mistake? It's a pre-taped commercial. They could have easily edited that out. Like they could have shot it again like the day they're shooting it. Like I don't know, but like I talked about this on the Raw show. It's like I hope that's not the case because like then what's the point of the Royal Rumble? The point of Money in the Bank is that it's this nice separate thing. You can cash in any time. I love the excitement. It's unpredictable. I love it. I've always liked that. The Royal Rumble is its own thing. You win and then you go on to WrestleMania. It's like your ticket to WrestleMania. So to have the two kind of essentially be the same thing, like they both become less special then. So I hope that's not the case. I haven't heard anything more about it since then. So I'm hoping it was just some kind of error because again, it was edited out the next night on Raw when they aired it again. I think they aired it again tonight during SmackDown, and I think it was the same one as Raw, so it didn't have that line.
I've seen it a few times, but I've always heard the line about WrestleMania. I think it could be interesting, but it does hurt the Royal Rumble.
And hurts Money in the Bank. Like at that point, it's like, what's the point? Not to say what's the point because you get the same thing as Royal Rumble. So then, yeah,
I guess theoretically you cannot. Anyone that wins Money in the Bank does have the opportunity to headline WrestleMania because they can just headline WrestleMania if they choose to. But
yeah,
or maybe that was a hint that like Cody's gonna just win it and choose to be like, I'm main eventing WrestleMania.
That'd be lame, man. Like if Cody, Money in the Bank is in July. If Cody wins it, which he could, and then he says, "Okay, I'm going to cash in at WrestleMania." In that case, I would imagine he would say that like the next night on Raw, probably, and then that's like what 6 months ish, maybe more. Yeah, roughly, just of waiting, and then of like filler storylines, and then like they never tend to book Money in the Bank winners well anyway. So I don't know about that. I like, which Robert, you and I talked about this before. I like the idea of the two better of having Cody win the Rumble, because at least that's a big deal. And then he goes right on to WrestleMania. I don't know how they can draw it out that long, because the first night he was on Raw, he said he wants to win the title. I don't know. I'm
My
hoping...
thing is, I want to see him. If the Raw at the Garden wasn't the go home for SummerSlam, that's where I would do it. Because I think he should win the title in the Garden.
Yeah.
Like his daddy never got the chance to.
And that'd be cool. I'm all for, like, if not surprise talk changes, at least like not always doing them on the pay-per-views. Even though we were just saying earlier, you need the main events for the pay-per-views. At least, like, I like a couple like twists and turns here and there, like, you know, a title change here, especially one as monumental as that. You know, I think that would be pretty cool. But very, very logical point from DJ here, saying if they do make that change, if the Money in the Bank becomes essentially the Royal Rumble 2.0, he doesn't see ticket sales doing very well, because you're taking away, or at least you're lessening the main drawing power of Money in the Bank. I think that's a very good point, because, like, other than some of the matches they may advertise, at least like when people buy tickets to Money in the Bank weeks and weeks in advance, they're doing it knowing it's the Money in the Bank. And to me, as I said a minute ago, the main drawing power of that is, oh, whoever wins, you know, it's exciting, and you know, that's the whole appeal to it, at least to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's been used so often as a get out of jail free card that, like, you never get to see anybody genuinely get the moment to cash it in.
Everyone Otis won.
Yeah, I will never forget, because it was just a wild time. It was early pandemic. We didn't know what was happening.
Nope.
The world was ending, and Otis had a briefcase.
A moment of light in the darkness was Otis winning. I mean, you were about to mention Biggie winning as well. I feel like that didn't exactly pan out as we all may have hoped it would.
Of course not, because they used it as a, hey, we need a ratings boost for Raw. Hey, E, why don't you just go on Twitter and announce that you're cashing in your briefcase and nobody will know what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw this as well. You know, if they make a change, I still don't know if they are, then you're essentially, I feel like they're limiting themselves for WrestleMania, because if it sounds silly, I've looked at this, the men and the women's Money in the Bank matches, so you're essentially kind of, you know, slot against someone almost not a year in advance, but like several months in advance, you know, whereas obviously wrestling, it's very dynamic. Things change, people get over, or, you know, whatever, people rally around somebody. So then I like having the ability, if someone gets hot in December or January, they could say, oh, we're gonna, you know, roll with them for the Royal Rumble and do that, and they still could. But again, like, if I'm struggling to see how this would work. So again, I really hope that it wouldn't happen, because like then how would they kind of have someone win Money in the Bank, main event WrestleMania, and someone win the Royal Rumble and main event WrestleMania? Like, doesn't make sense to me. So it seems very odd. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because to me it doesn't make any sense. Eddie points out, depends on how the world title works, at least for the men's side of things right now. If the belt held by the Roman Reigns, maybe The Rock could win. If they're held separately, the winner could challenge whoever wins, you know, whichever title. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see it as a good idea at this point. And again, Robbie, you mentioned a minute ago, there's technically 2/1 world titles right now. As it out, there's still 2
They
titles.
need to clarify that, because right now it's 1 title.
Right. Even though he's carrying 2. It's very weird. I don't know. National points out, maybe one way to make a little more sense. The Rumble gets 1 title, and the Money in the Bank gets the other one. I guess. Like, there are ways they can like finagle it. But again, I do not think this is a good idea. I'm hoping it's not the case, but that's always a way. And I haven't heard anything like confirmed, or they haven't like clarified much. So hopefully we'll find out more soon. But that takes us to something we can talk about in the here and now: the feud between Rick Boogs. I'm sorry, not Rick Boogs. I'm sorry. DJ got me off track. You mentioned Rick Boogs is out with an injury right now. The feud between Madcap Moss, who reminds me of Rick Boogs, and Happy Corbin continuing tonight. Madcap came to the ring, cut a promo, talking about how he beat the Big Bad Wolf, how he wants to form a tag team with Sasha Banks and call it Madcap Boss. And he wants to win Money in the Bank and replace the titles with championship suspenders. And at that point, Happy had enough. He attacked him, beat him down with a chair, and then Pillmanized him. Took the.
I love that. That's a verb.
It's great.
And you know what you mean when someone says they pulverized him.
Pulmonized his neck. So he took the chair, wrapped it around his neck, smashed it with the heavy ass Andre the Giant trophy. Corbin laughs as Madcap gets stretchered away, and then backstage he says, you're going to the Mospital because he's Madcap Moss. Definitely agreed with Nash here saying Madcap needs a name change and a wardrobe change.
I think that puns are fantastic.
They are wonderful. I love puns.
Madcap Boss and Mospital are fantastic puns. Hopefully, this is used to get him a little more serious, though.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, they write him off of this for like a week or two, and then he comes back. I don't know. Again, I don't know how they make it work because I don't see them having him come back and like I'm blank now, but we've seen NXT to do stuff all the time. So I don't know, but the main roster is different. The Madcap Moss thing, like we've talked about it. The name again, it's not a superstar name. Like it's not a WrestleMania main event name. And they look. Tonight was the first time I really thought like this guy looks dumb, man. Like he just. Like the suspenders and the shorts. Tonight is when he's like brown.
You didn't think that at WrestleMania. You didn't think that.
I don't know why. It occurred to me tonight. I was like, this guy. Like, and I've not liked his look before, but tonight he looks physically. He's jacked. He looks great. I feel like if you dress like a normal wrestler, I'm sure you look great. The shorts, the suspenders, and like the shoes/boots, like it's not a good look. I like the idea from DJ saying that because of this injury angle, we could see this play out or culminate in an ambulance match. Now that'd be kind of fun. I'd like to see.
I like ambulance matches. They're
silly. or a stretcher match. I like ambulance matches. The stretcher match would make sense here because you got stretchered away into an ambulance. So I think either one would make sense. But I didn't really want to see this continue, but you mentioned the thought of the ambulance match. I'm like, or at least those are fun. So like, and again, if the mission here is to get Madcap over and more established, at least it's kind of working. Again, I just really resisting the name and mostly everything about his appearance at this point. But this would be a good match to have on Hell in a Cell. Again, if we're thinking about the card without Roman Reigns, that's one easy way to kind of heat it up a little bit. But another feud that's been going on for quite a while now on SmackDown, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus the collective of Butch, Ridge Holland, and Sheamus. Tonight we got Kofi versus Butch, a very good match. So it's a darn good match. Butch wins with a little help from Ridge and Sheamus, and Butch runs away after the match, even though he won. But then he comes back, so Butch did not go missing again. So all in all, a good night for Fight Club. Fight Night, whatever it's called.
Their Fight Night. That's so. I like them. I bring this up every week. They like the adjective of rabid to describe Butch, and that tickles me because that means that somebody somewhere must have said, you kind of remind us of you know who, and they're just like, great, say rabid all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know.
Any thoughts on the rabid wildebeest?
I mean, like, I think didn't McAfee say like the first week? I thought he said rabid Wolverine, and like people got like took notice of that because like obviously that's not great. And then like I feel like rabid itself is okay because like it's a word and like there are associations and connotations, but like at least then it's like the rabid wildebeest you said, like at least that's like different enough. It's still like probably not for the best. Like if this was like the independent scene, like that's one thing, but it's WWE, like that is part of the history, and obviously they try to ignore that. But it does feel like something they're trying to normalize or make part of his character at this point. I guess it's better than, again, the first several weeks, every single time he was on the screen, Michael Cole would call him like a spoiled, petulant child. So of the two, I guess I prefer that of two not great options. But it's the same. Like tonight, great match. I thought it looked good. But again, kind of like very much like Madcap Moss, very, very similar boat. Don't like the name. Don't like the outfit. So
I like the outfit. I like everything about it, except for the fact that I know who Pete Dunne is. If this was a relative unknown that I had never seen before, that wasn't on their programming, that wasn't in Survivor Series in an NXT title match against Adam Cole 2 years ago, I'd be like, this works. Butch is fun. I get the gimmick. He's he's that random mouthy guy that walks into the pub and just wants to start fighting everybody. I get it, but because of who Pete Dunne is, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, necessarily agree. I think we need Pete Dunne. I thought Pete Dunne was great. I think Pete Dunne is still great. he's still there underneath the Butch, but
underneath the Butch.
I don't know. Like, I was so confused, like, why he ran away after he won. At least, like, make it make sense. Like, he ran away after he lost or like whatever, and he was gone.
Because he's off to find another fight. He's
rabid.
He
came back. He ran up the stairs and then he looped back around. And they didn't even try to explain it. They're like, oh, he's running away again. And then as Sheamus and Richard walking up the ramp, he just ran around around the ramp again. Not just you like that. I just don't know why he did it. Like, is he just like that out of control?
He's feral. He's rabid.
He's rabid. There you go. Full circle. He's rabid.
He needs control. He needs someone to control him.
Supposedly that's what Sheamus and Rich are supposed to do, but the jury's still on that one. DJ says Butch is like Sami Zayn. Until tonight, at least, he was losing and then running away from everyone. There's some similarity there, but again, at least Butch won tonight. So
yeah, Sami was running away in cowardice. Butch is running away in anger to go find another fight to take his anger out.
Yeah. One more brief segment, and then one more match to talk about. Now just put him on a leash. Oh, the day they put Butch on a leash.
Well, so here's I was going to bring that up. Thank you, Asha. I was going to say that, but I chose not to. But since you did, Butch is supposed to be like, if Sheamus and Ridge are supposed to keep Butch in line, then they should theoretically put him on a leash. Theoretically, not a real one. We don't want to go there. But they're the kind of pet owners. You have a dog.
I do.
Would you put your dog on a leash, or do you just open the door and go, I don't know, man, go cross the street and maybe come back if you want. I don't know.
They need to control him. They need the leash to control him.
You got to take care of these things, and if you're put in a position to look after Butch, you can't just let him go roaming the streets.
It's sad that I could actually see this happening. Because
I'm now picturing Pete Dunne on a leash.
Right, but they've done some really weird stuff. So like at this point, anything's practically fair game. But I hope that doesn't happen. But something I'd like to see happen is Gunther chopping people. And tonight, he destroyed Drew Gulak with one chop, ripped the man's shirt off with one hand, and just laid into him. This is after Drew Gulak asked Ricochet for some advice. Because obviously, as we've seen, Gulak has not been having the best run of luck lately. No matter what he tries to do, interviewer, assistant, official, timekeeper, whatever, like all these things, none of them have panned out. And finally, tonight, he reached his breaking point. He asked Ricochet for advice. Ricochet said you need to kind of take control of yourself.
His narrative.
Pretty much. And for a second, I thought he was going to turn heel and be like, you're right, I need to take charge. And I thought he was going to attack him or something.
Beat the crap out of Ricochet. Yeah.
And then he's like, no, this next time I see Gunther, I'm going to chop him this time or whatever. And then right around the corner, there's Gunther, and Gunther just lays into him. One of the most brutal chops I've seen in a while, even having seen Walter/Gunther matches. And that was it. He was left in line, and that was all we saw of Gunther. But just such a brutal chop. I thought that was great. Just to kind of keep Gunther on the show. Made sense. And I like something like this. He was walking the hallway, and he walked. I just like having things feel organic. Like he walked around the hallway, and there he was. Like I just like those things feel a little realistic. It's like feels like in its own little world, as it should. I like that. Nothing really remarkable about it. It was a nice chop, and it was a nice chop. Otherwise, here, last match that we haven't touched on yet, women's tag title match: Sasha Banks and Naomi versus one of the only other tag teams on the women's side at this point, Shayna Baszler and Natalya. Thought it was a fine match. All right.
For women that know how to work.
Yeah, it's good. They're good. It was a good match. didn't give us any reason to think they're going to have a title change, but it was a fine match. Sasha and Naomi won. This was the second roll-up, or one of two rolls they had tonight. This was Naomi roll-up. I think it was Natalia, but they wanted to retain the titles. Didn't really leave me wanting more, but they don't have any other teams, so I feel like we're going to see this again. So, I don't know. Any thoughts on this?
That.
Yeah.
We probably will see it again because there are 3 tag teams.
Oh, 3. The number's gone up.
2 of them you saw, and one of them the champions beat on Monday in Dewdrop and Nikki Cross.
Right, in their first match as a team. So,
I don't know. I imagine we'll see this again.
Probably several times because, when you've got 3 teams, limited options. But it was a fine match. I just really hope they resolve this lack of depth at some point because it's a problem. But again, when you've got 4 very, very talented people, it's good. Nesha, we talked about this on the Raw side of things. I still like the idea of Alexa Bliss and Nikki ASH, or maybe Nikki Cross, potentially, if that's what they're going back to, reuniting at some point. But Nikki just joined up with Dewdrop, so I feel like they're going to kind of go with that for now. But I have been hoping to see Alexa and Nikki reunite for probably over a year now. I thought there's something they could really do there.
I have no desire to see that.
What? They're a great team. Especially now they're different people. They feel like there's history and they've changed. Like, what? Robert, come on. Why not?
The last time we saw them together, it led to an angle between 2 people for the world title that are no longer in the company. I understand that there's history there, but I kind of want to see Bliss just be Bliss. And Nikki needs to find herself again.
Yeah.
And maybe after like 6 months of that, then I can see them together. But I don't want that right off the bat.
Fair enough. I like the idea of Alexa being herself. DJ says maybe you could do Bayley and Alexa. I think both talents probably better at this point.
I miss Bayley so much.
So much. Oh, she's great. Hopefully she'll be back soon. I haven't heard anything
Hopefully
about
she wins
that.
Money in the Bank.
That'd be good. 1 year to the almost 1 year. I guess 1 year to the pay-per-view essentially.
Which she was supposed to have the I Quit match.
Yeah. So that'd be good. I like that. That was a fun option for tag teams here. I do with the idea. We saw maybe some tease of a feud here, but maybe they'll manage to coexist. Shotzi and Aaliyah, desperate times. You gotta, lean on who you got. So that's,
Is that the name of the tag team? Desperate Times?
Oh no. I could see. They almost have to at this point. They have not a lot of depth on the SmackDown side of things, especially even as a one-off or a temporary kind of thing. They need again. They have talent, just especially having the women's tag titles, and even they're defending on both brands. They just don't have a lot of tag teams, so recurring problems here. But I like the ideas of some of these teams you all have mentioned. And hopefully some of them will become a reality. But again, we talked about this from the start. Eddie says they should just unify the women's tag titles and the NXT tag titles, or do a new mid-card title and drop the tag titles entirely for the main roster. I don't really know if unifying the women's tag titles would help because they don't really cross over NXT all that much. So
they were supposed to, and now we have 2 sets of meaningless titles.
So for that reason, unifying them would make sense. It would kind of solve 2 problems in a way. Solving another problem, you give Butch a collar, and then they can do a dog collar match. Full circle, we'll leave it at that. But all in all, Robert, we had a fairly good episode tonight. We got to see Roman Reigns, got to see a confirmation of the tag title unification match for next week. We had an unexpected title match. We had an advertised title match. So in all, pretty good. What would you say was your rating for your show, all things considered?
I would probably a 6.5. Wasn't bad by any means, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, I would go for a 6.7. Not bad. Got to see Roman, which is good. I'm learning.
I like that you're slightly more of an optimist than I am. I can get behind it. I got it.
I cannot show all the messages. People I was seeing on Twitter, a lot of people seem to be really happy with the show. I didn't love it, but yeah, Nesha says it was decent. So
I'm at a place of apathy with main roster television right now. It's not that it's bad. It's just that I don't very much get excited for it because it's very formulaic.
And folks, if you can imagine, it's our jobs to cover this for a living. So you can imagine.
I mean, if you factor in 20 years, 20 plus years of fandom, and then it's my job to cover it for a living. If you're just going to give me average television, I'm not going to be crazy impressed. That being said, anyone out there that is loving it, I am so happy for you.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Like, I want people to enjoy it. We come together to talk about it. We don't have to enjoy it, but I like talking about it and just sharing our collective thoughts. And that's how I enjoy it more than anything. Just talking about it, talking it through, and trying to get through it, I guess, at the end of the day. But speaking of average television, DJ and Kevin both for the 5.5 for DJ and 5.4 for Kevin. So that's, I would say, pretty below par. Like, that's not great. Now, again, not just that it was decent. I thought it was fine. One little tidbit here before we get out of here. Very unexpected report tonight, Robert. Ric Flair training to come back for another match.
What?
73 years old. Ric Flair.
What? I'm sorry.
Reed Meltzer reported that.
I'm sorry. You've blindsided me.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I've seen him taking bumps in a ring with Jay Lethal, but he's Ric Flair.
Apparently that's training. And then Meltzer said, like, any rumors about him returning or
do what and go where? Tell me where Ric Flair is going to wrestle. Look, now Japan might want it. I've seen Dory Funk have a match at 77, but like America doesn't need to see Ric Flair get in a ring.
Herman says Hogan versus Flair one more time, make it a death match.
I got news for you. I don't think death match means what you think it means in that context.
Oh, man. Yeah. Brett Lauderdale, the GCW owner, tweeted, just said, one more match, Rick. So maybe we'll see him.
You know, I'll say this. If GCW can book a match for Ric Flair, here's what I want.
Effie?
Ric Flair, Ricky Morton, one last time. I would do what I can to actually attend that if I can get Ric Flair and Ricky Morton in a ring.
I mean, I don't know what he would do. I don't know where he would go. He could control his narrative and go to control.
Oh, good Lord! Oh, can you imagine?
I don't know.
I can't think of many situations that I wouldn't want to see in wrestling other than Ric Flair returns to control your narrative.
Nesha points out, Ricky Morton's he's been on the NWA as well, doing at least a little bit here and there. So maybe we'll go NWA. Big draw for the NWA.
You know what? Ric Flair and Matt Cardona in the NWA would be pretty cool. Of course, that could also happen in GCW.
There you go. But Nesha says he doesn't need to do it. Jerry Lawler's still wrestling though, so like at the end of the day,
Lawler is so good at his age.
Yeah,
Lawler has done. If you watch a Jerry Lawler match from like 50 years ago and watch a Jerry Lawler match today, it's pretty good. It holds up.
Yeah. DJ wonders if Rick still fits in this robe. I don't know.
I don't want to know what Ric Flair is fitting into these days.
As you said, you were blindsided. I saw the article and I was like, well, that's weird. Like, why would he do that? Like, he hasn't wrestled since 2011. He's 73. Not to say
what was his last match?
He faced Sting in Impact in 2011.
Oh, you know what? My God, leave it there.
Yeah.
Unless you can get him and Sting in a ring on TBS or TNT.
I don't think AEW will do that. I think they had a window to do it, and the Flair hasn't been on TV since the whole Dark Side of the Ring thing. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, not to say Sting was like, if they could do it, Sting's doing crazy stuff these days. So like, that's something. Obviously, there's so much history there. Maybe they could bring back Shawn Michaels somehow. I don't know. Pointing out the retirement match, do it all over again, run it back. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe this is just smoke, but Dave Meltzer said the stories surrounding Flair's return are accurate, and he's training for an in-ring return, whatever that means. I don't know. Seems to be in the early going because again we've just seen him doing these videos. I think it was like 1 or 2 videos on Twitter taking bumps with Jay Lethal, but
yeah, because he just put out a new one recently.
Okay,
I'm hoping it's Meltzer reading into something instead of that actually just being a thing.
Yeah, Ric Flair's a legend, and I just don't know if he would be doing himself any favors coming back.
I don't know if the TNA run did him any favors.
Right, and now
At least with the TNA run, I can say he did the Foley match. That was fun. That was probably, Foley's last real match. And he did the Sting match, which is where I would leave it.
Yeah. So, again, now the TNA run, his last match was 11 years ago. So, now again, we saw Steve Austin.
And that was 3 years after his actual retirement match.
Right. So, crazy things happened. Steve Austin came back, had a darn good match, even though it was like a more of a brawl / fight, but
at least he had it, and it was good.
Granted, different situation, and Flair had health issues. I don't know what it worries at these days, but I don't know. We'll wait and see. As soon as we know more by a repeatable outlet, we'll share it with you all. So stay tuned as we continue to monitor it, because I'm sure there'll be an update hopefully at some point soon, because it is like the one what we have so far was pretty big. So we'll wait and see. As always, we'll wait and see. With that, Robert, outside of the weird, unexpected things, we're business as usual here. We do post shows for Raw. Me and myself and John Clark is back. He was at the show tonight, back at SmackDown on the road.
The legend returns. I'm glad he's in good health. I'm glad he's feeling good. It's nice to see him on TV.
Yes, he was. Now, Iridium pointed out she saw him on SmackDown tonight. So he was. If you want to go back and rewatch it, apparently he was wearing a blue striped shirt. I did not catch him myself, but maybe anybody eagle-eyed people out there, instead of playing Where's Waldo, you can play Where's John and see if you spot him. But John and I will be here on Raw on Monday for the Raw show, Tuesday for NXT. 2 Diamond Dudes on Rampage cover all things AEW, Marcus and Dominic. So make sure to check that out. Robert, schedules permitting, you and I are here on Fridays. We try to do our best to make it work as we can. The Fridays can be a little tight sometimes. All the wrestling there is out there right now. Thankfully, we had Rampage was on the early bird special again this week, so it's even easier to do it this time. So it's good. That said, we also have a great stream of interviews constantly, guys. Bill Purchase recently interviewed Moose, former world champions, beatable Mike Bailey, Tasha Steeles.
Alex Hammerstone.
Alex Hammerstone just went out. We got a bunch in the pipeline. They'll be coming out soon as well.
Mr. St. Laurent, Microman. I know that interview was done. Got so much cool stuff in the can.
Indeed. But Robert, that's anything you want to plug?
I would love to plug things. Follow me everywhere at DeFelice. Follow me on twitch.tv/DudeFelice. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. You can see it right there on the lower end of the screen. I do appreciate all the support. Of course, when you're done checking out WrestleZone, check out Fightful.com and Fightful Select. Sean Ross Sapp breaks so many great stories over at Fightful Select, and we really do appreciate all the support. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, that said, as I always say, the world outside, very scary place. We'll come here together to do one thing above all others, my friends, and that is to enjoy wrestling. Thanks for listening, everybody.